And now we are going towards the last session with our colleague Gala Maturana. She's a business creation manager in CLC West, based in San Sebastian. She's professional, certified coach and passionate about marketing and communication. She will have a fireside chat with a business angel on the importance on effective communication when raising money as a startup. So the session, The Importance of Communication to Attract Investors, will start now, and we will have also Idoia Iturbe, Managing Director from Coben Club, joining in together with Gala. I hope this is a really interesting session for all startups, no matter of the stage of maturity, because improving the pitch and let's say clearly communicating the value proposition is very, very important when onboarding investors. So Gala, welcome on board, and I leave the floor to you and the guest in order to talk about the importance of communication.
Okay, thank you very much, Jasmina, for the presentation. I'm going to start with a question today. How many times have you been watching a presentation that was extremely hard to follow? You felt disengaged and bored, even if the content was interesting for you. In this session, we're going to talk about the importance of how to be effective when telling your story as an entrepreneur. During the last 2 days, we have listened to the pitches of promising startups that could help transform Europe's industry to make it greener and more socially sustainable. In the framework of this event, there are also planned matchmakings with investors, so this session can come in handy as you prepare for them. Today, we will deep dive on how to engage the right investor to maximize the benefit of the relationship, and especially how to convince them that they should trust you as an entrepreneur, that they should invest their money on you. In EIT Manufacturing, we believe in smart money, building a partnership that could go beyond a pure investor-investee relationship. We have with us today Idoia Iturbe, business angel, co-founder of a pre-seed investment club called Coben Club. She's also a serial entrepreneur and a master in communicating ideas in a variety of forums. Welcome, Idoia. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Same. Thank you for having me with you.
Thank you. So, assuming a startup has a clear picture of what they need in terms of their next investment round, what are the key considerations when choosing an investor? What should they be looking at?
Well, I think it's really important, as you said, because it's going to be a long-term relationship between the startup and the investor, and it should be a win-win situation. I think it's key to know what are the experiences that the investor should have to really be a smart money, right? If they're expert in the industry or the vertical, as we call. I would say second point is something that you also mentioned, right? Which is trust and the feeling, right? I believe that there should be that feeling of, between both corporation or a startup and the investor in order to work together, because it's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and if you don't have that feeling with the entrepreneur, that is going to be harder, right? Third, I would say support. Try to, and related maybe with experience, right? We try to help our startups doing interest in terms of business development, in terms of find future clients, but also interest to other funds after all, right? When you are growing and finding bigger rounds, it's very helpful. So be keen in terms of knowing who is going to be able to support you. And the last point, I would say that the expectations, risk management, and the patience of the investor should match the timeline, the growth timeline, and also the potential exit strategy of the startup, right? Because sometimes some investors want to exit quick or not, or startups want to grow slowly or end up in an IPO or end up in a quick exit. So they should match those expectations in order not to have any misunderstanding in the future when you are trying to give back to the investor their return, and you as an investor try to support the startup.
Yes, I totally agree with you. There should be an alignment in, for example, the growth expectation, because some startups, they really want to take their time. They're not, maybe in B2B, it's less common to see like amazing growth, like, I don't know, for example, in industry sector. No, it's like B2C is obviously a huge market, so you can be expecting like a rocket kind of growth. So I totally agree with you. Be mindful of what they want, what you want, and if it's a match and if it isn't. So thanks so much for that, Idoia. So having these considerations in mind, how can a startup get their message across effectively? If you had to give them like some tips when they are preparing, for example, some of our startups are now preparing for these investors matchmakings, no? So they will be somehow pitching, not like a real pitch, but in a way they'll be talking about themselves. Mm-hmm. So how can they get their message across?
I would say the most important things in order to transmit, like to really send the message, is to practice. We say practice, 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 and to be well prepared. When you're prepared, you're confident, and if you're confident, you're going to be able to convince, right? If you have doubts, you haven't prepared that well. I know it's basic, but I've seen many startups, so many people getting advices right before the pitch, or getting changes in the pitch deck and things like that, and then they are not, they don't feel secure. And sometimes it's much better to feel yourself and be prepared and practice very well what you're saying.
Yes, prepare in terms of, I imagine, a structure, right? The type of message. What is really the key thing that they want to end up with? What is the final idea that they want the investors to have in their heads after the presentation? No? So it's really, yeah, it's a combination of things, no? And for example, if you have to take it to your own experience, no, when startups pitch to you, what are the things that you value the most? Like, you really, when you see an amazing startup and you say, this one is a really good one, what makes that difference? Like, what would you say?
Okay, as you said, sometimes you feel from the content of the pitch, right, that is a good one. So let's assume that size of the market, potential, all that is there. But what really makes the difference between two companies or startups that have, all those ingredients is the enthusiasm, the energy, how they transmit that message, right? Enthusiasm actually comes from the Greek word entheos, which means that you're possessed or you are inspired by God, right? So that's how you feel when you actually believe in what you're doing, right? And those entrepreneurs that believe in the project, believe that they're going to change a sector and industry, they're going to solve a big pain for a corporation or for B2C, for people, right? If they don't believe in themselves, we as investors, we're not going to do that. So when we hear a pitch of somebody that is really enthusiastic, passionate about the project, and they feel themselves, you feel that they are being themselves, explaining or sending that message out, that's when we're going to, trust them as
Yes.
well. That makes the difference for sure.
Yes. I don't know if you share this view with me, but I sometimes see startups that they know their product, they know their solution, they know their market, but somehow when they pitch, they pitch it for themselves, for their own level of knowledge. It's like if they were already saying things that they know so well that you're like an outsider and you're thinking, okay, might be a good idea, but you're not pitching it to me. You're pitching it for yourself, for a person of that level of knowledge. Have you experienced that some before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and it happens when you are hearing pitches that are deep tech, right? So, and you're not an expert. I'm not an engineer, sometimes, or I'm not only in terms of computer sciences or other industries, but I think an entrepreneur should be able to like send the message in a way that I can understand what they are going to be solving, right? And basically it's like, explain me what is the pain, what is the problem, and how you're going to fix it. Not maybe getting too much into details that are very technical, but when you know what you're doing, you should be able to send that out and make me, that I'm an ignorant in that industry, let's say, understand, that this is going to make a difference. So I think that is key, because sometimes when something is very technical or they assume that you should know certain information, if we're not sure about what we're listening, you don't invest in what you don't understand. So it's key when you are listening to a lot of pitches.
Yes, absolutely. It's like if you had to pitch to like your mom or someone out of the business, no? Like think about that. So absolutely, yes. So then if you had to like think of the best pitches that you've seen that have like gotten that investment that they wanted, or they have really reached the targets that they wanted, what are they making them excellent communicators? What would you say is their special thing, so that our entrepreneurs that are watching us can get a grasp a little bit of what they need to have?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's kind of like a wrap up of all that we have been mentioning, right? So just to make it a little bit memorable for them, for the next time they're pitching, I would say kiss with passion, right? Keep it simple, as we said. The message should go straight to the point in all the points that a pitch deck should have, for sure, but it should be something, as you said, that we can understand. So keep it simple and do it with passion. Do it with that enthusiasm that we mentioned. So next time you're pitching, keep these two words in mind that are easy to remember. And I think that they are going to be doing a great job. And that could be, as we said, the difference between a winner,
Wow.
a winning startup or not.
Thank you so much, Idoia. You just said it like that, very simple and with passion. So you said it clearly. So for all the entrepreneurs, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Make everybody understand what problem you're solving and be passionate about it. Why they should choose you out of a sea of entrepreneurs. Why you should be the one selected to be putting money on you. Like that's really the question, no? Simple, passion, and of course preparation. Like what Idoia already said, preparation is about structure, it's about having the right materials, it's about using communication skills like body language, pausing. So it's a whole lot of things to be working on, but it's worth it, because you can have a great solution, but if you're not able to get the message across effectively, it's like if your solution was worth less. So it's worth working on it. And I really appreciate having Idoia, because she's the person that is receiving the pitches many times, no? And her inputs and insights are super valuable. Thank you very much, Idoia, for that, for giving us your precious time today. And basically, so no matter what we do, we are continuously communicating with others. So it is crucial to understand how we are perceived and if the message that we're giving is effective or not. So get feedback, ask people around you, how do you perceive me? How do I communicate? Don't be scared about asking. Ask others, get feedback, get yourself recorded, get a recording of how you pitched, revise it, review it, try to improve. So I encourage all of you, all of our startups, to never stop learning and improving their communication skills. This is an ongoing process, it will never stop. And you will be pitching for your life always, at home, with a couple, with your family, with your friends. That is continuous pitching. Anyway, thank you so much for your time and for being with us. If you ever need support on this side, EIT Manufacturing could also be of help, especially when pitching industry-related technologies. So I'm gonna close with a quote from Jim Rohn that says, effective communication is 20% what you know and 80% how you feel about what you know. And of course, what Idoia said, keep it simple, keep it passionate. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
And congratulations.
Thank you very much, Gala. And thank you very much for all these inspiring words for the startups, how to communicate passion in their pitches. And it's a pleasure, and I'm personally grateful to work daily with startups that are quite creative, that have new ideas to change the world, to make real change, to create impact. So we are blessed as a business creation team in some way.